this where, there's a lot of question marks with Alabama football. And I think the biggest reason for that is their quarterback situation. They're just trying to figure out who their quarterback is. I'm showing a line of 7 for Alabama, favorite at home, of course, but Ole Miss team who does have some talent, no doubt about that. Total of 55. I want to start with you. Does Bama kind of bounce back from a pretty weird game last week? Weird is one way to put it. Or does Mississippi kind of come in and maybe shock Alabama at home?
Yeah, I'm so torn on this game because I don't really know. It's hard to tell if Bama's just going, if they're just going through something or if they're really, kind of having some more deep-rooted issues there. So initially I was leaning Bama on this, but I could also see Ole Miss really taking advantage of, where Bama is right now and just coming in and, just exploiting all their weaknesses basically and, winning this outright. So I honestly, I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
this?
so I think an interesting comment here, ultimate buy low spot. So I look at this one of two ways. Are we getting too caught up with the name Alabama as what we know Alabama football to be? And is that why we think it's a buy low spot? Or do we think that there is something that we've seen through their first few games that would make us feel like they can cover this number? And for me, there's nothing I've seen that makes me feel comfortable about lane 7 for Alabama. I think it's either Mississippi or stay away. That's my personal take on this one. Jalen Milrow didn't start last week. He's going to get the start this week. And Tyler Buckner, oh man, I watched that first half. He had some weird throws. Like he was short arming the football. It was a combination of nerves, not feeling confident in himself. I mean, there was a screen pass where he had some pressure and literally just like had the weirdest throw that was short, missed a few other throws. And I think that was enough for Saban to say, like, no, you're not going to start another game again unless there's an injury. But Milrow, I mean, he can't be feeling the most confident either, right? Like you just benched him and now you're putting him back in there. So like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You think Alabama would have someone out there who could play quarterback competently. Jalen Milrow kind of fits that like Taylon Green, even like Jeff Sims at Nebraska, where they're such a threat with their feet, but when they need to make those throws, you just can't trust them. I'm talking about those like 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 8s, even like 4th and 5, where you can't just run the ball, especially if they load the box. And for that, I mean, I have to lean Mississippi. But I think my favorite play, though, that is going to be the under in this one. Another under spot. I just don't have faith in Alabama to put up a lot of points. And I think the defense kind of steps up a little bit for Bama. Judkins, though, for Ole Miss, I wanted to talk about him. He was a guy who people had on like their Heisman list, and he's really struggled so far. I think he's only averaging like 3.2 yards per carry. He's the
Mhm.
guy who I think is going to go like pretty early in the draft. Maybe not first round, but definitely scouts have been raving about him. Um, if Alabama kind of bottles him up, it could just be a game where we just don't have a lot of scoring, considering the way Jalen Milrow has looked in that first. I think the Texas game, I think he might have had another start. But for me, it's Mississippi. It's the under. So what would your lean be, I guess, in this one?
So the other thing too is Jackson Dart. They interviewed him a few days ago, and he came out and said that this is a game that the whole team is looking forward to,
Mm-hmm.
especially with how things ended last year because they had that. Didn't they lose at the end of the game last year? Like it was 30-24, and it was tied, and then I think Bama
Yeah,
scored
30
late
30
in.
22 or sorry, 30-24. Bama scored in that fourth. I think it was like the end of the game.
Yeah, so I think this is also a bit of a revenge angle for them. I mean, I definitely think Ole Miss is not just going to roll over. I think they're going to I mean, they have, like you said, they're a talented team. So, I think that they have enough weapons to beat Alabama at home. So,
This
um
is a good point though on screen. Like and like when's the last time we've kind of felt this way, right? Like
yeah.
I get it, but I just like I'm the type of better that it feels like this would be a do spot for Bama, and I just don't like to be on that side.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, it's definitely a tough what did you say the total was? Oh, it's 55.
55. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can get behind that under. But it's tough because you have Ole Miss has some, some weapons on offense. So, I think they can definitely uh
I can score.
if Alabama puts up enough points like they're actually trying to win the game, it
Mhm.
could go over. But if they're if they're playing like they have played, how they've started the season, then I would feel pretty good about the under.
Mhm. Yeah, and I haven't placed that yet, but it's definitely like a strong lean of mine. I'm just kind of feeling it out a little bit more to see what happens there. But yeah, great discussion on that game. It's definitely one